Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Sunday live stream. Today's going to be a good one. I've got my buddy Jerry V. Hall here to help me out. Jerry, how long's it been? It's been some time, man.
It's at least been a month or two, or at least 2 months or 3 months, maybe. I don't know. It's been a while since we last spoke. I know that I've missed it in my bones, and so I'm really glad to be back today.
Yeah, there's a problem with my Wi-Fi being here in Puerto Rico and bouncing all over the place. So I'm glad I got this issue fixed so we can go over some things. So what we're going over today, it's 3 or 4 different subjects. And what we're talking about is there's been some reports about the German government buying back crypto. We're going to go over why we don't think that is actually the entire case. We're going to take a look at, and this is what me and Jerry talked about sprinkling in some hopium. Take it with a grain of salt because let's be honest, price predictions are stupid and they never really go anywhere. Also, we're going to talk about Tangem and Visa. And there's another thing that I wanted to talk about, and this is why, this is part of the reason why Jerry's here. I want to talk about this Fetch AI, Ocean Protocol, and Ajax merger into what's called the Artificial Superintelligence Alliance, or the ASI token. And the reason why Jerry can give us some insights is because he works for HYPERCYCLE, and one of the founders over there is one of the founders for this program. So Jerry can give us some interesting insights. Jerry, sound good?
Sounds excellent. Let's get to it.
Let's do it. All right. So first things first. So there's been this story that's coming out, and I got to tell you, I love stories where I could use some hopium because let's be honest, our portfolios have been sucking for quite some time. So this is good to hear, but there's a twist, and you got to really dig in, and details matter. So this is what I searched for because I couldn't find the article. I remember reading it. I was playing volleyball yesterday, and I was just kind of scrolling through as I was playing. And I remember the story about the German government buying back. So I did a search, Germany buys Bitcoin. And it says the German government has recently bought back 1,915 Bitcoin worth 111.5 million. I'm like, great, this is the story. So I click on that, and then this story comes up. German lawmaker demands strategic overhaul amid Bitcoin sell-off chaos. And you can see here that this was actually put out on 6/26 on July 7th, and there was an update on July 7th, 8/25. What was that update? I'll get to that. So here's what we have. German government recently intensified its Bitcoin sell-off by transferring 75 million to exchanges like Coinbase, Kraken, and Bitstamp. Here's the on-chain data analysis. A link in the description. You can check it out. Great stuff if you're into that. And this was part of a larger strategy, apparently. With 315 million in Bitcoin sold since mid-June, that's sell pressure. And these things are going to happen. So total sales to over 390 million in less than 1 month. Despite market concerns, transferred amount represents a small share of Germany's holdings, leaving 40,000 Bitcoin still in reserve. So before we go on about disputing this whole thing, Jerry, what do you think so far about this? Because you got a big government selling off Bitcoin, and it's just part of the whole thing, right? It's not like that's the whole thing. But if you got 40,000 reserve, I mean, how bad could it get?
Well, it's interesting in that the German government had a strategy that didn't have anything to do with the sanctity or security of the market in which they were making their play in, right? So to go to Kraken, Bitstamp, and Coinbase, if it is their retail marketplace, then of course, when the tokens get sold, the selling pressure affects the price of the Bitcoin in my portfolio as it does yours. And so what I found interesting about that article is that there was a German lawmaker who was trying to be a voice of reason and saying, listen, we understand we've got budget shortfalls. Why don't we use OTC? We will not affect that market, and yet we can get our Bitcoins sold and cover our budget shortfall. It's interesting to see how different players in the governmental sphere are looking at this and approaching this for sure.
Yeah, I got to say, it's quite interesting. Like I said, there's only so many voices of reason that we can get to. So I'm glad there's actually somebody out there. But, let's see exactly where it's going to. So continue on and slog through this one. And this is where it says, in a surprising reversal, the German government has recently moved back 1,915 Bitcoin worth 111 million. And the reason why I highlighted this is because if you do the search, however, in a surprising reversal, the German government has recently bought back 1,915 Bitcoin worth 111 million. That's where they changed it, because some people would say, oh, it's a buyback in the original which of course the metadata was actually picked up by Google. That's why you see it there. And this is the change, because I think what happened is people realized, oh, it was just a movement per se. It wasn't a buyback. And this is from Arkham. I said, update, German government Bitcoin movements. German government wallets received 1,900 Bitcoin last night from addresses linked to Kraken, Bitstamp, and Coinbase. So just because things are moving, this is what me and Jerry were talking about. Just because things are moving around doesn't mean that it's actually selling. That's why, like, some of these metrics, I always say like this: I don't move my Bitcoin for S's and giggles. I just do that because usually I'm going to sell. But who knows what the German government is doing? And lastly, before we get into the little commentary here, Joanna Kotar, independent member of parliament, that's the lady you saw in the beginning. She says, and of course she's the insider. This is I will defer to her. She says, I can only speculate as to why the government is selling right now. We got a massive budget shortfall in Germany. Could be one of the reasons. Upcoming elections could also play a big part. I think we know where that's heading to in America. She highlighted the government's apparent ignorance of the potential effects of its actions. And she says, look, they don't know what they're doing. I'm not at all sure whether the government was or is aware of the consequences of its sales. It also doesn't seem to have known that such sales are not necessarily carried out via stock exchanges. Well, I should mean centralized exchanges, but rather OTC. And that, I think, is the big thing, because some people are saying, oh, they transfer them over so they can do OTC. But to me, I'm like, wouldn't that be the same thing if you transfer it over to Kraken or whether centralized exchange? Wouldn't you just say, hey, we don't want to do it this part, we're going to do it in this OTC? Maybe they have to transfer, I'm not for sure. But this is what me and Jerry were wrapping our heads around, like, why move it back? And that's where it gets confusing.
Well, and hopefully somebody is speaking to them and saying, listen, let's sell what we need to sell, and let's sell what we need to sell OTC and keep what we don't, right? Because if anybody has learned anything, you do a little bit of search on Google about Bitcoin and governments that have sold Bitcoin 3-4 years in the future always regret it.
That's
always
true.
Regret it. Look at what Hungary did. Look at what the US did. I don't know if you remember, but there was all that. What was the Pirate Roberts, Dread Pirate Roberts guy, the Silk Road?
Oh, Silk Road, yeah.
All those Silk Road Bitcoins that made Tim Draper absolutely ungodly wealthy, getting them at $100 a pop, and look at it now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So maybe they'll hold on to a little bit. It wouldn't hurt them.
Yeah, it wouldn't hurt them. But like we say, like, governments don't know what they're doing. Let's be honest. The governments, and this is the thing, I don't want to get in a tangent, but like, people always say, you know what the problem is taxes. People got to pay their fair share of taxes, I'm like, you know what the real problem with government is let's figure out what the hell they're spending all these tax money on and how they're mismanaging the funds. And then we'll go that route. So if anybody's going to be good as far as like management of your funds, it's not the government. So like, if they can see in the future, go, you know what, Bitcoin could be a pretty big thing. The only way that would work is if some superpower country comes out and says, you know what, we're going to tie this to our reserve currency, and maybe we could, elongate this process with Bitcoin, maybe another part of assets that, could contribute to the fiat reserves. Then they might say yes, but nobody wants to be the first. But I guarantee this, nobody wants to be the last.
Nobody wants to be the last of something that works.
Yeah, this is true. And then before we get on to, like I say, the sprinkle of hopium, let's just break this down, because I know people will say, who cares about 111 million worth of Bitcoin? Who cares about 2 billion worth of Bitcoin? Because it's if you take a look at the grand scheme of things, it's a $1 trillion market cap plus. So who cares? It really comes down to this. It's a cascade effect. And we talked about this yesterday. I just want to remind people, there's this selling multiplier effect. And it's a funny thing, because once you have certain people sell on one side, then you have like these dominoes start to fall. So all these margin trader and leverage traders, they get cascading liquidations, and that causes more sell pressure. And then when people see that, there's a big thing called a herd mentality. And once the prices goes down, I mean, not us, I mean, me, Jerry, and you guys watching, you guys all pros, but that herd mentality takes over, especially the people that are new. They're like, oh, this is going to zero. I knew I shouldn't have bought this S. And there you go. Thin order books, the bots, they come out of nowhere and they're like, oh, you're going to get liquidated and there's a big sell-off. Well, I don't want to be a part of that. I'll start trading and selling off. And you get slippage and arbitrage we talked about, stop loss orders, and it's just like a big cascading effect. So when people say, who cares about a couple million? this is why you care about a couple billion. Jerry, anything to add about this one?
No, and I'm really glad that you brought this up, because none of these things that are happening in complex markets happen in a vacuum. They're not happening in isolation. Many, many, many things are commingled, maybe not from a source of capital perspective. You know, there are many different players, but it's the metrics involved. So for instance, I may have a sell order at an established range that is completely reasonable, that when this one swan, this kind of black swan event, the German government having 2,000 Bitcoin deciding to sell it, it may cause speculators to act because they see their range being affected. This multiplier effect that you talk about that's worthy of more study. In other words, I encourage everybody in the audience to not just take that graph and go, oh, okay, I kind of get it. Go look into it, because it's going to affect you as an investor for the rest of your life. And the more you understand these things, the better you are prepared to understand what happens in the moments like we're in right now.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Always make sure that you do your own research and due diligence before moving on. And that would be a great segue to this next piece. Again, sprinkle of hopium. This is what we got. So I actually put this out this morning. And what I did was I went to CoinGecko and I downloaded the CSV file, which you can do for any crypto products out there. And it gives you all the data. And then I ran it through ChatGPT and I said, hey, give me all the price points from July 7th going back to 2012. And this is what it spit out. So I know like there's some people going, especially if you're new and you're like, man, this price is really going down. If you have a 4-year time horizon, you're going to do just fine. And I think the best way to look to think about this is what Dr. Jeff Booth said. He said, if you continue to transact in fiat, your prices will continue to go up. If you start to transact in Bitcoin, the price of your assets will go down. And the reason why this happens, there's many reasons, but we can see over time from 2012, it was only $6, 2013, 68, and so on and so forth. But now it gets interesting when we get to like 2016. This is actually, I got it in 2017 in November. And this price point right here of $2,500, I got it on $8,500, and I was so ticked off because I'm like, I should have gotten earlier. And now I look at 2,500, like who among us are not like, and just to bring out what Jerry said about the German government, who about us wouldn't love to get in that one? That's the thing. And then of course we go with 11,000, and there's a little bit of a drop in 2020 because, you know, usually goes to halving, all-time high, dip and a reset. Then in our big year, 21, 34,000, and now 20,000. In 2023, just last year, we were under 30,000 on July 7th. Under 30. And now we're double that, and everybody's crying about it. But that's just how it goes. So before I get on to the hopium piece, Jerry, what you got on this one?
Well, you said something about price speculation earlier and how it never works. I've never been able to dictate the price by looking at its previous performance, but what I can definitely see is the trend. I can see the trend. I recognize the trend and I understand the trend. And for me at this point, the soundest advice I would ever give any potential investor is invest what you can.
Yeah.
Do it from a point of discipline, not a point of what the market is doing, right? So dollar cost average, and just sit back and let the fundamentals of this thing show itself over time, because the actual like morality of Bitcoin is there's so much integrity to it. How can it not persist in a world where we're seeking truth, we're seeking integrity, we're seeking these values? Bitcoin has these things. Let's sit back and allow it to do what it's going to do. And it's not undifferent or any different really than any other major network that is like, remember the early days of the internet in the 80s, Rob?
I do.
Nobody had really any idea what it would become.
Nah.
You know, there was all this wild speculation and tech stocks that were involved in that, went up and down and and it was volatility and all that stuff. Now we can't live without it. Well, I think sound money. I think sound money has a place in this world, and I think Bitcoin represents sound money. Therefore, it's an inevitability. Let's just sit back and let it happen and do what we can to promote it.
That's it. You know, and just going back to the internet back in the day, when because if you're old like us, like we remember when the internet came about, we really did think that you just need like one internet site for everything, or maybe like 5, you know, something for education, something, you know, maybe to do like a post here and there, and to buy things on the internet. No one's going to buy anything on the internet because that's just for scammers and crooked people. No one buys stuff on the internet. That's dumb. And of course it actually happens. But then as time went on, one of the things we also thought about is that we thought that the internet would never be allowed because there was no way the government would allow it to happen with free flow of ideas and information. And we're like, there's no way they're going to allow that. And then we're going to figure out who killed JFK. We're going to figure out all about the aliens, and it's all going to be crazy. Now take a step forward into the next presidential election, what we're going to have. The government figured out a way to weaponize the internet and weaponize information against us. Did they not? So the thing that I don't worry about is, you know, like Jerry said, Bitcoin persisting. What I worry about is government weaponizing Bitcoin against us. And the ways that they can do that is they can essentially start to buy things up like crazy and start to control it. I mean, you can't control Bitcoin. I understand all those things, right? I get it. But it's just one of those things where I think to myself, I know there's great parts of the internet. There's also some very negative parts. And a lot of those things there's a little bit of manipulation, which I love that word, manipulation.
You know, there's an element of what you speak. There's a lot of truth in this. And obviously the history of the world is when humans have clear incentives, you can pretty much dictate the outcomes, right? We understand this. We that study cognitive biases and game theory and these things, we kind of get, show me the incentive, I'll show you the outcome. Okay, I get that. Yeah. Here's let's throw a little nugget into this mix because it segues into the next vertical that you want to discuss, and that is AI.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes, AI is nothing but code, but at some point there will be AGI, and AGI, depending upon where it comes from, if it's governed by many, then it will have the moralistic values of the many. If it's coming from AWS, it's going to have the moralistic values of AWS. It's going to have AWS's incentives in mind, its value system in mind. And so when we talk about, like, for instance, what Fetch AI, what Ocean Protocol, what Singularity Net were trying to do with their ASI Alliance, which is this tokenized amalgamation of the 3 token economies, they're trying to get themselves so that they're stronger than any one part of their alliance, so that the alliance becomes the thing from a tokenomic standpoint. You go from a company with a market capitalization of 500 million to now you have a financial organization $1.5 billion. You're stronger, that type of thing. And so there's an element of that I think is interesting. And I think that we, as people that may be concerned about big government, big corporations, that we start looking at how can we support edge compute? How can we support projects that are doing AI on the edge outside of those monolithic corporations and their structures? And that's exactly what the SNet folks are doing. That's exactly what HYPERCYCLE is doing. That's exactly what World Token is doing. That's exactly what Cardano's doing. I mean, all these things that we kind of have bought into, there's an element of that morality that's kind of baked into that edge that isn't present in the Facebook vertical or the AWS silo or the Microsoft organizational structure or the United States government structure or any other sovereign nation, so to speak. Yeah,
it's true. So all these things that we talk about as far as using it against you, all these things can be used against you in some way. Doesn't matter if it's AI, doesn't matter if it's the internet, doesn't matter if it's sound money, whatever you want to call it. It just depends on how you play the game. And that actually would be the same thing of for investing. We can take a look at this dip and there's 2 ways to look at it. Well, this is the worst thing of all time and I'm down so much in my portfolio. Or you say to yourself, wow, if I believe where things are going, then of course I think this is an opportunity. But it all depends. And this would be like the hopium part, Jerry. The hopium. Everybody ready for this?
Let's get into it. I need a dose of hopium right now, Rob.
So you take this number right here, and you take a look at a couple of different factors, like from the last halving to all-time highs. And what I did was I said, okay, well, let's just do this. We're going to use price fractals. Everybody, don't troll me yet. We'll go over all this stuff. So if you go from 2016, which was the halving year, right? This was in 2016. I think the halving was around July. You had it $638, and then on the next July, it went to $2,500. That's a 4x, right? Roughly, 4.12 or something like that. Now let's take a look at the last July, July 2020, July 7, 2020, where the price was $9,340, and then in July 7th of 2021, it was $34,000. It's about a 3x, 3.5x, I should say. So it went from 4x to 3.5x. Let's just say, for giggles, that from July 7, 2024, which is today, and I don't know what Bitcoin price was. In the morning, it was 57,701. Could have been 3x, which would give us like $173,000. That's why I titled the title of this video, $173,000. Maybe. It could be. But let me remind everybody of how wrong I was before. I did the exact same thing. I did price fractals. And I thought to myself, and this was like in 2020 when I made this, I said, okay, well, from the last halving to the all-time high, it was like $1,000 to 20,000 from 2016 to 2017, or beginning 2017 to the high. So I thought, well, if it did 20x, maybe Bitcoin could do like an 8 or a 9x or something like that. And I came up with a price point of 150,000. And I will remind everybody, my probability out of 1 out of 10, I said 10 out of 10, this is going to happen. We didn't even hit half of that. So like when I do these things, like it's nice, hopey and everything, but it hasn't panned out as I'd like to. Jerry, what do you got for me?
I love the enthusiasm, and I don't see any reason why Bitcoin couldn't 3x and be 170,000 next July 7th.
Sure.
There is this incredible element, though, that we have to remember, that Bitcoin is not a standalone thing in its own universe, operating under solely its own, characteristics and laws of physics. We've got it's a financial element, right? That we're using a US dollar to denominate it, and it's the US dollar that we shouldn't lose sight of, right? How is the US dollar managed? You've covered recently on your show a lot of stuff around BRICS, right? A lot of stuff around how oil is now starting to be priced in things other than the US dollar. That debt instruments that were relevant in collateralizing these capital movements are all starting to unwind and change a little bit, and not necessarily going to be catastrophic over the next 24 months, but they will have an impact. And it's just like you talked about the multiplier effect in investing. There's going to be the multiplier effect in the value of the dollar. And the dollar is what is denominating all these things. So let's not lose sight of that either. This is going to be a very interesting next 12 months. So tune in to Digital Asset News every day.
So we can get to this journey together and try to figure it out.
Yeah. That's
it. Well, I mean, that is that piece. I mean, when you look at the, where things are going, I mean, I don't want to harp too much on this, but I just don't see how we can't even, to break 100,000. I just don't see how we can't do that. But I don't see it happening until we get through some unknowns. Unknowns being the different process or the Ukraine war, to get out of that, let that kind of settle down, to get out of this presidential election, which we're not going to find out until November, to get out the federal funds rate, to see if they're going to cut rates or we're going to wait till next year, and to see just how well the Federal Reserve has actually done with tackling inflation or not. If it's going to come back like the 70s or going to be like a medium hard landing, which I think it's going to be. So there's just so many factors to go over. No one's really knows for sure, but I will tell you that the longer I stay in the market, the luckier I get. People say, oh, it's just hard work. It's not hard work. It's just sticking around. It's like the military. Like just show up with the right uniform, you get promoted. It's amazing. Anyhow, so there's that. So there's that piece. And just real quick, the last two, and we'll get to the merger of Ocean, AGX, and Fetch AI. Just a shout out to Visa and their partnership with Tangem Wallet. Now, I love the Tangem Wallet. I think Jerry's got his favorite for cold storage, but this just came out that Visa and Tangem are going to combine their payment card crypto wallets, and it states our users will get a 2-in-1 solution. Actually, this is from this official release here from July 5th. Visa and Tangem.
Is it payments.com? Is that who that is?
Yeah, PYMNTS.com.
Okay.
And this is what it is. And the only part that's interesting to me is here. The collaboration was announced Friday. It resulted in a Visa payments card combined with Tangem, which is a cold storage hardware wallet. Lets Tangem users make payments using their crypto or stablecoin balances at merchants that accept Visa. So I'm thinking to myself, okay, this could be actually the Tangem card that you have right now. And then they activate it on their end. And you can say, okay, you're at, I don't know, Applebee's or something like that. Okay, here it is, round of beers. Just use my card. Take it out of my, tomato coin stash or whatever it is. I'm sure they're going to have their own, what they're going to do. But the thing is, I was thinking about this. I'm like, that's great and awesome. But I know vendors and I know merchants, and I don't know if they're going to be that happy about that. And this is why. Because if Visa's not stupid, Visa knows which way the winds are blowing, and they want to be a part of this. But are they a part of this to move crypto along for mass adoption? I don't think so. I think they're here to move along their stock price and answer to their stockholders. So when you actually pay with your Visa card or any kind of credit card, $100, first of all, goes to the bank, a big chunk, but we eliminate that. So that might be a very big thing. Card network processing fees, 14 cents, 30 cents for a payment processor. So the merchant, $97. And that's on one side of that. But there's another one, which is this. The average credit card processing fees for Visa is 1.4 to 2.5%. Imagine you're a small company, like let's take my friend Steven over at San Juan Smokehouse. He pays around 3 to 4%, and that's on Visa. So I know these are just averages here. So if they're able to bring in Tangem and work with them, I still fear that'll be the same thing. And then the next question I have is, well, who's here is paying for the processing fees if you're doing an ERC20 token and you have they're like, hey, I want to pay with Tether, but it's on Ethereum layer 1. Okay, sir, your $10 latte or whatever is actually now $13.75 because processing fees, and also the layer 1 solution. Jerry, what do you think about this one?
I agree that there is no egalitarian context behind the goings on at Visa. They're definitely in it to make money. And yeah. I think the digital value world that has emerged since Bitcoin does present a lot of problems to companies like potential problems to companies like MoneyGram. Visa, MasterCard, etc., because of all that rent taking, that beautiful graphic that you put up there. And so, yes, if we out here on the edge, us crypto folks, are getting apps and put together with payment solutions that circumvent the big guys, they're going to feel it eventually, right? It goes back to what's efficient, right? And what's cost effective. The thing that I find interesting about this, though, and there's a silver lining in this, and that is because Visa literally is everywhere. It literally, that's not just a marketing slogan. They are literally everywhere.
Pretty good slogan. Yeah.
So if I have my USDC that I got because I bought Bitcoin in 2016 with you at 2,500 and decided to sell a Bitcoin at 60,000 on a DEX, and I got that USDC sitting on my Tangent card and I use it to pay for food, I might not care about the 3 or 4 or 5% because I've just and I'm not saying anybody should do this, but I just bypassed the 33% capital gains tax. So I'm not exactly too shook up about spending 5% on a transaction.
That's another thing if you think about it, right?
I'm just saying, I'm not saying anybody should go do that. I think everybody should pay their taxes, or at least that's my official statement. But there are elements of this now in what this presents. What this presents are more opportunities to get a velocity of money working in this digital asset space. So the more we do move around, the better it is for everybody, because my liability is your asset. And when the minute you spend it, it's your liability, but it becomes somebody else's asset. And we get that growth metric, that velocity of money element working. And I like it for that reason.
I like it for that reason too. I think people like us who want to see crypto adoption move forward will do it, right?
Yes.
But the vast majority of normies are like, what does this cost me? Like, why am I doing this? What's going, you know what I mean? So like, I think, and you raised a good point about taxes. So I mean, I don't think you'd actually use Ethereum. It would have to be stable coins only, because like, let's say, for example, you get Ethereum at 1,000, you let it sit there for a year or so, and it goes to 2,000 or 3,000, whatever it's at right now. And you're like, hey, I want to pay for my, those wings in this round of beers with my Ethereum. Okay, let's run it through. And you run it through, and you're like, oh, well, because it is a transaction and because of the price is appreciated, well, now and if it's less than a year and you're in the United States, you just are going to just get hit with short-term capital gains tax as it transfers over, because it is a transaction. So like, I'm just thinking to myself, there's a lot of questions about that one that I mean, it's great, but when you really break it down and go into the details, like, shoot, maybe not so much.
You definitely, I would encourage anybody who's thinking about it to spend a little time doing the game theory, right? Game this out.
Oh, game theory. Yeah.
Game this out. Look at it from 5, 6, 7, 8 different directions. Just like we should do with it, like when we do due diligence on an investment.
Yeah.
Or maybe not your meme coin stuff. Those are, but you know what I mean.
I know what you mean. Okay, so that was that. Excellent. Thank you, Jerry, for bringing in different directions. So I love having you on. Now let's get to the big stuff. I think this is what people are questioning. I mean, if you own Fetch, you own Ocean, you own AGIX, you're probably wondering what the hell is going on. So this was a story that's been developing in the last 3-4 months, I want to say. So I had talked about this a couple of days ago, and I wanted to do an update just to make sure everybody's aware, because I just got an email this morning where someone says, hey, someone sent me a link to transfer my Fetch AI into this ASI token. Is this a legitimate link? And it was a total scam. So I'm like, okay, let me make sure I send this to everybody correctly. So first of all, there's going to be a merger. Those 3 tokens are going to go to this artificial super intelligence, ASI token, right? It's not going to be adapted by Coinbase, but all the other centralized exchanges are going to do it for you. It looks like it automatically. So if you got it on your cold storage wallet, your hot wallet, or Coinbase, you got to do some extra steps. And to find this, I had to actually look at the article, because I'm like, okay, where do I go? Because I don't want to just like find some random piece on some internet, right? So I got to make sure I go to the right place. So this article took me to the founder of Fetch AI. This is Humian. I think I nailed that. Mm-hmm. And he's the one that had talked about, like, okay, this is what you got. You don't have to do anything, which isn't really true. And then when I scroll down,
there's a huge. Okay, so yeah, we no longer live in a world where a project is only in one place. Like Bitcoin is on the Bitcoin network, right?
Yeah.
And it never leaves the Bitcoin network ever. Mm-hmm. Well, FET has an ERC20 representation to it. It has a Cosmos SDK component, in the world of Cosmos.
Gotcha.
So there can be a project's token in several places. So so if you own FET AI as an ERC20, you will definitely want to do something with that. If you own FET on Cosmos, and for instance, you're staking it or something, you don't need to do anything. You don't need to do anything. And so now take that to Ocean. Ocean was built on an ERC20 platform, right? I mean, it's always been that thing. that will in those places that are agreed, like if you have FET AI on Coinbase, move it to Kraken, right? Or move it to one of the participating exchanges.
Right.
In its ERC20 form, the platform will do it for you. Same with Ocean Protocol. Now, the SNet is the same thing. SNet has an ERC20. It was built, that's where it began its life as an ERC20 token. But then through its engagement with Charles Hoskinson and Cardano, also now has a Cardano representation of it, which you can stake like you could stake your Cardano.
Gotcha.
On the Cardano network, you don't need to do anything with your SNet tokens. On the ERC20 platforms, wherever you have it sitting, maybe you even have it staking in that old ERC20 staking mechanism for Singularity Net. The ERC20 stuff, you would want to get to a place that's reputable that is doing that exchange for you.
Okay. So let's just say, because right now people are saying, damn it, is it an ERC20 token? Is it on Cosmos? Is it on this? How the hell do I know? So
if you're the owner?
Yeah, if you're the owner.
Okay,
you're
so
like,
most likely, if it's sitting on Coinbase, it's an ERC20 token.
Okay, that's it right there. I think everybody else, if you're moving things around and you're in a MetaMask wallet, you probably know like, oh, okay, well, I moved it here and I transferred over here to the different chain. You'll probably know that. So let's just keep it simple. Coinbase, you got to do something. So here's what it comes down to. What I was doing was I go, okay, well, most of the information I want to find for like the official links, I go to some place like CoinGecko. And if you go to CoinGecko right now and look for Fetch, it's not there anymore. Ocean's there. I think Singularity's there, but for some reason, Fetch isn't there anymore. I don't know why.
Well, just type in FET.
Yeah, let's see. FET. Artificial Superintelligence Alliance. That's what it comes up now.
You found it.
So like with this one, I was, perusing this article or this from the founder of Fetch.
Sure.
And it came to, this is who he reposted. This is the official Twitter account. And this is the official website. And I wanted to make sure everybody knows that. And Jerry, thanks for this piece here. Let's take a look. So FET, this is FET price. Let's see. So see how it says website, Fetch AI, white paper, blah, blah, blah. Go here, Superintelligence IO. And see on the upper right-hand corner where it says take part. Come on. Okay. Take part in the token merger. Yeah. And then once you click on that, this is where, like, if you have it on Coinbase, you can't do anything with that. And the founder said you can just leave it there and not have to do anything. And it may be true, but I think there was also this issue with Gala Games. I have Gala Games V1 still stuck on Coinbase. I can't do anything with that. So
it would be both.
So if you want to find out like the guide and everything else, go to this website. I'd link in the description. Take part in the token merger, and it's going to tell you how to do it. Mostly what it's going to come down to is on this upper right-hand corner where it says connect. You probably have to transfer it to your MetaMask wallet and transfer it. If you don't want to do any of that stuff,
what you need to do.
Yeah. If you don't do any of that stuff, do what I did. I sold a big chunk of it a while ago. Now I just have a little bit. Or if you just like, I don't want to deal with the hassles, you can sell it and go there. But of course,
probably at a really good profit. All those AI associated coins did very well the beginning of this year. Yeah. Very well.
So I will just say, I will leave it up to you. That's the official website. That's how you take part in it and listen to what Jerry talked about as far as the different chains. And of course, as far as like selling Fetch, some people will say, oh, I sold it. And then like, in like 6 months, they were like, and then of course I sold it and Rob told me to sold it. And then it went up to 20X or something like that. I'm like, oh, do your own research, make sure you get it all figured out. But I can tell you that's how you do it on that website. Transfer it over with your MetaMask wallet. And that's it. Jerry, anything else?
Yeah.
Let's talk about HYPERCYCLE now. Yeah.
I do have something else. I have a small bag of tokens that I want to give out to some of your listeners, your followers. Sweet. Here.
Who likes free stuff?
Do you have that little device that would do the random contribute, like the people that have chatted with us? Or you tell me how you want to do it. I want to give away I want to give 100 tokens to 4 different people. How do you want to do it?
So everybody in the comment section right now, tell me your best dad joke, and I'll pick 4 of the best dad joke, and I will start giving away tokens.
Okay.
And then we'll go from there. And as they come on, oh, but Jerry, what kind of address do they need though?
It just needs to be an ERC20.
ERC20 what though? You're just a EVM compatible.
Sorry. I thought ERC20 is only on Ethereum. You can't have it on any other chain. There is no.
Yeah, no.
They just need an Ethereum address, like your MetaMask or your Trust wallet or your whatever.
Oh, okay. So just be Ethereum. Give us that.
And I'm paying all the gas, so it doesn't cost anything to receive. That's
very nice, you Jerry.
Well, I do it in hopes that somebody would take 5 minutes to learn a little bit about it, because what we're doing is so interesting and so revolutionary in that it's not like we're just copying pasting somebody else's project and trying to promote it. This is something we built from the ground up, and it's the internet for AI. Independent AI agents doing their own research, their own economy within themselves. I mean, it's really quite fascinating.
All right. HYPERCYCLE.
So
this is not bad. Lord says, what do you call a man with a cow on his head? Pat. All right, Lord Balthazar. Show us your
Balthazar. That's a good one.
Show us your Ethereum address, and we'll send you over some tokens.
I'm gonna have to get my copy ready.
Chavo says, I tried to make a joke about a ghost, but I couldn't. It had plenty of spirit, but no body. Barata. Chevo. Lord. Why did the Scarecrow win an award? Because he was outstanding. And that's pretty good. Mr. Miyagi. That's not that funny, but okay. And Brad wins it. I was going to try an all almond diet, but that's just nuts. All right, those are our 4 winners today. Thank you, everybody. You can.
We need your addresses, guys.
Yeah. So I need Lord Balthazar, Chevo, Mr. Miyagi, and Brad Johnson. Great stuff. Ugro says, pick me, Jerry. I'd love to learn.
I'll tell you what. I love the photo. Add a 5th. I'm going to add 100 tokens just based on the photo.
Oh, just on the photo?
Just on the green bud that's in the photo there. And because they said please. And they like to learn. So let's go 500 tokens. We're going to go you grow, I grow.
How about that one?
Okay, next time we'll do mom jokes. I love it.
Okay. How about meme? Meme's been around for quite some time.
You want to make it 600 tokens? You got it.
All right.
Look at me.
There we go.
So we need 6 addresses, folks.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is where we block all the addresses. Some really good one.
Are you getting addresses, Rob? I'm not seeing any of them.
And UZ Mets, you're the winner. I always liked UZ Mets because to me it always looked like the guy from Breaking Bad. I know it's not. So there's your 6 addresses. Lord Balthazar.
I mean, but you see the addresses like the OX blah 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 blah.
No, not yet.
I haven't seen any of them.
I saw one. That was Beardy, but he's an EOS whale. He doesn't need any more tokens.
Oh, is he Brock's cousin or something?
Something. I think so. What kind of underpants do lawyers wear? Briefs. Very nice. I am sulking.
I have an idea. So those 6 names that you have, Rob?
Yeah.
you guys go to my Twitter at Jerry V Hall 1, and in the DM place your thing, because I'm seeing a lot of stuff I'm getting confused in the chat.
Okay.
So you 6 folks.
Hold on, Jerry. Let me get your. You want to do this on Twitter?
Yeah, let's do it on Twitter. It's real easy with the DM thing. Like and follow me on Twitter. DM me with your Ethereum address, you 6 folks, and I'll make it happen.
So everybody, here is Jerry's address, and I will paste it here. And I will also put this into. Follow Jerry. There we go.
Easy breezy.
Yeah.
And to top it off, I'll add in something even cooler. If you're in Las Vegas between the 10th and 15th, go to Caesars Forum to the Freedom Fest exhibit floor, find me, and I will bestow upon you a free hyper ring. It's an NFC technology chip ring that we're interfacing into our HYPERCYCLE network, as well as our hyper appliance node boxes, like you see behind me, etc. It's going to be a really fun little adventure there. It's this cool little conference. If you're in and around Vegas between the 10th and the 15th, come find me. I want to give you a HYPERCYCLE ring and maybe another couple hundred tokens.
Crazy. That's July 12th. Look, you got Robert F. Kennedy, Robert Kiyosaki, Rob Schneider is going to be there.
Yeah.
Steve Forbes.
Steve Forbes is going to be there. I'm looking forward to Ice-T.
Yeah. Do you follow him on X? He's got some pretty good insights.
He's a character. There's no doubt about it.
Let's do this. Freedom Fest. Meet Jerry. Cool. All right.
Do you do questions? Do you still do the Q&A thing, or you try to get out of here as fast as you can?
No, I got nothing going on. I'm tired after yesterday. I did a live stream. Then I went to the beach, hung out all day. Then last night went to this great Argentinian restaurant with some friends. It was like, I'm not going to say it was the best steak I've ever had, and I'm from Texas, but it was really good. Really good. A lot of flavor.
Argentina has some of the best meat. I mean, it in my part of the world here in Costa Rica, Latin America, renowned. I mean, Argentina is renowned for its beef. Yeah, it is renowned for its beef, and I don't think it's because of the breed. I think there are techniques that are passed down. They just got away. Tender, flavorful. Yeah. Oh my God, I agree, and I love meat. I'm a carnivore for sure.
Here's a question, Jerry. How much are HYPERCYCLE nodes going for these days? Do you know? Because I've got one, you've got one.
Let me explain. The interesting thing about a node with us is it's unlike any other node. A HYPERCYCLE node starts off with a license and 1,024 tokens. But the interesting element is that over time and through reputational scoring and productivity in the network, that one node, that one license with the 1,024 different tokens can actually become 1,024 different nodes doing computation for different things. So a node isn't just a node. It becomes actually a node factory. And so a node license is $120 roughly. And the token price goes anywhere from 38 to, it's been as high as 80 when we had that really nice high point here 4 months ago.
Nice.
Yeah.
So yeah, like it's only, you got 38 cents today. So 1,024. That's not bad.
No.
Okay. I'll take that. Let's see what else we got.
Oh, somebody's in Cacao. I'm in Perez de Lidon, independent. Independent insurance adjusted Wicker J. I'm in Perez de Lidon.
Nice. See, there's always somebody around. There's always somebody around, Jerry. How about this one? This is a good one from Uzi. He says, in March, I was 40K in profit. Thank God I took some profits along the way. So in reality, I'm even Steven right now, trying to beat the house just by taking those profits here ahead. He said, you know, I'm down 40K, didn't sell because, of course, unrealized gains, unrealized losses. But still, my portfolio went down 40K, hoping for some good news. So good job on taking those profits moving forward. But I mean, Jerry, any advice?
Well, yeah, it's your advice. Nobody ever went broke taking profits.
That's true.
I'm the classic example of was never wealthy. I always did okay, but I spent everything I made. I was more interested in the motorcycle than investments and things of that nature. But when I did get into investing, and I found this space in the very beginning of 2018, and I became on paper very wealthy in 2021. Sorry, yeah, 2021. I didn't take very many profits. I took a little bit, just a little bit, but I should have taken hundreds of thousands, not tens of thousands. And we all know what happened through 22 and 23. It just, I mean, the value of my portfolio just evaporated as liquidity was being sucked out of the marketplace.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so taking profits is good. And we should celebrate each other when we do. Good job, bro.
That is the exact opposite of what you'll hear on X or Twitter. Oh, you took profits? Oh, you paper-handed fool. You're going to regret that later. Well, I had things to pay for, and I got assets.
If it's the only strategy you have is to put $1 in and hope that dollar goes to $1.50 so that you can get your dollar back out, that's not bad, because then you still got 50 cents in the market growing and building. That's not even your original capital investment. It's house money at that point. And that's a great strategy. The other strategy is you dollar cost average. And when you get monster inflows of liquidity into the market that explode or appreciate your asset, then taking some profit from that shouldn't deviate or preclude you from continuing to dollar cost average. You're just taking some profit, and maybe it's to acquire a new asset. See, taking profits is just a statement. What do you do with those profits? That's where wealth creation comes from. So when I take profits now, and I do, I've gotten into that habit. I'm not buying soda pop or depreciating assets. I'm acquiring new assets. You know what I mean? New, and those will hopefully appreciate, and I will do the same thing.
Well, Jerry, what kind of assets are you buying?
Well, you know what's interesting? I got lucky in that a year ago, I started buying a lot of these AI cryptos. And I got involved with HYPERCYCLE, I started thinking, okay, and look, Akash, look at FET AI. I mean, I had Fetch at 5 cents.
Yeah, Render
something now.
Aether, IO.
So my strategy now is, what is a vertical that's had the shit kicked out of it that I believe is always going to be around? And I think gaming is the answer. So a lot of gaming things have just had the shit kicked out of them. I'm kind of gobbling up some, little chunks of Gala, little chunks of this, little chunks of Sandbox, etc. Just little pieces, because I don't think gaming is going away. I just think it's had the shit kicked out of it. That's all.
Here's another question for you, Jerry. A good response. Got to go, but question for Jerry about HYPERCYCLE. Saw his video with Robert Moore with the HyperShares, and interested in seeing other video for the Hyper AI box when computation begins. Thanks for everything. So
right on, Jason. I'm so glad that you found that. The HyperShare, you guys didn't see this because Rob and I did it off camera, but I got to set Rob up with his HyperShare, and the HyperShare presents an opportunity for us to, in the world of node operation, to actually have it be a business, right? With wealth creation tokens and revenue tokens, and the ability to sell a part of your business if you want to. Yeah. These are all things. Okay, that's a good question. When compute? I don't have a date, but I anticipate us having clients buying compute by the end of Q1 2025. We are onboarding AI currently. We're currently onboarding AI onto the network. And that's, you got to have something to sell, right? You can't have an empty store.
Interesting. Yeah, awesome. So, okay, very nice. I like that. Let's see. What else was I looking at here?
I like Gollum.
Gollum. There was one from Red Panda Pie says, "Hey Robert,
the swear jar."
and put your crypto in the swear jar." That's not even swearing. Just an S word. Panda Pie says, "Rob, we didn't talk about Sol ASR active staking rewards or stacking rewards. If you're eligible, go check Jupiter official link, vote.jupe.ag." I was curious about this. I don't know what this is. If it's Jupiter, there's their one coin. Active staking rewards is a way to reward active participants with Jupe, allowing them to accrue more voting power. What's the name? Oh, these are the tokens distributed for this ASR period. So you could have, just by using Jupiter, you could have Jupe token, Zeus, Wen, I remember that one, UPT, and Shark. So yeah, you can connect your wallet here. I'm not going to do it here, but I'll link this also over in the comments section, and I'll put that. Check your stacking rewards. Jupiter. Interesting. Oh, it's not still stacking? Okay. Didn't know that. All right. Interesting. Let's see what else we got.
Oh, yes. That's a great question. Has HYPERCYCLE sold more nodes than Circular? Yes. So we have over 400,000 node licenses sold. And if all of those node licenses were to marry the appropriate 1,024 tokens per node, that there aren't enough tokens to satisfy that need yet. And because our inflation rate won't catch up to that for a long time. So that's an interesting tokenomic element to HYPERCYCLE, is that there aren't enough tokens to satisfy the sold nodes.
Nice.
I mean, the actual license element of what becoming a node is important to have.
Gotcha. Hey, just to backtrack real quick about assets. I know that, and this actually comes down to what we were talking about beforehand. There's going to be this speaker at your event at Freedom Fest, Robert Kiyosaki. He was the one that I listened to as far as for real estate. Now, I know assets. I mean, I talk about that a lot on the channel. But Jerry, aren't you getting into also real estate as well? I mean, you bought a big property.
So the one thing I did right in 2021 when the portfolio blew up to like I thought I had FU money. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I did take a little bit and I got some property. I bought my dream property that I'm going to build my dream home on. And then I took a lease option on the 5 acres next to it. And so I'm now, believe it or not, I found a partner in the crypto world, in the AI world, and we're going to develop that to a 10 house gated community.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very
so
nice.
Yeah, I'm diversifying into real estate, and that seems to be really fun.
Wow. I like real estate. I know some people say, Bitcoin will outperform. It's true, it does. But sometimes it's best to hedge your bets. That's just me, though. But don't get into real estate because, this guy on YouTube said I should, and he's in this really crappy green screen in front of him. So, yeah, don't listen to me. All right, see.
You know what I thought was probably the most valuable thing that Robert Kiyosaki gave the world is the concept of where you come from does not matter as much as what you do.
Mm-hmm.
And that whole ability, that whole concept of any one of us can build wealth. We just have to understand the mechanics of wealth building. And so if you're buying a car with your money and it depreciates over 10 years, you're going to have much less value than if you took that money and walked and bought a piece of land.
True. And also it's great for that delayed gratification. I think a lot of people don't learn that until time goes on. So that was one of the things I took away from.
Were you a 2-cookie kid as opposed to like the kids that got, here's a cookie, you can have it right now, but if you wait a half an hour, I'll give you 2 cookies. Were you a wait a half hour, get the 2 cookies?
No, we grew up super poor. So if somebody gave me 2 cookies, I'm like, I'm out of here. Yeah, give me those cookies.
Give me the cookie. Okay. You learn that in your adult life, huh?
Yeah, it was pretty good. Someone says buy a classic car. That's an asset class. Yeah, you could. I am happy with my 2018 Dodge Grand Caravan. Diversified. Real estate crashes aren't as bad as crypto crashes. That's a point,
That's
actually.
True.
I think Ryan says, I hope Robert Kiyosaki tells a story about buying the silver coin in Vietnam. I haven't heard that one 1,000 times. He does talk about that story quite a bit, but I can expect him to talk about Bitcoin, and I can also expect who else is going to be there? Robert F. Kennedy. Yeah, he's going to talk about it. Wouldn't it be interesting if Steve Forbes talks about Bitcoin as he's up on stage? Will. Nice.
It's a very libertarian. All of the values that make Bitcoin sound money are all very much libertarian values. I mean, it's Bitcoin. It's not a Bitcoin conference, but believe me, Bitcoin will be prominent. I'm sure of it. They have. I know because my company paid for me to do get a special pass to go in and out of what they call the Bitcoin Lounge.
Oh, so it's a big thing there. Yeah, it makes sense.
I know Bitcoin's being a big thing there for sure.
Yeah, libertarians. I mean, come on. This is a good one from you, Go. I love Bitcoin, but I bought a property in the late crash 2009 and still own it. Almost done paying it off.
Perfect.
I will play devil's advocate on that one. But see that's just it. Like when you buy a property back then, it's really devalued, and you're able to get that. You can generate income. No matter what, they didn't have short-term rentals back then, I don't think, but you can have long-term rentals. It generates income. You feel safe. You feel secure. Back then, people would say, "But Bitcoin." You bought Bitcoin in 2009. It was like, I don't know, a nickel. I have no idea. $10 or something like that. And if you would have held all the way through, you would have made a massive amount of gains, which is also true. But you have to go through so much. I mean, 2009 to 2024, it's a long time. But you'd be a multi billionaire at this point. But can you hold on for 15 years for that? And then what part of your life suffers if you don't take any profits? Some people don't need to take profits. Some people are like, hey, I own $1 billion company. My name is Michael Saylor, and I can just sell my stocks. But if you're not that guy, then yeah, you're not that guy. All right. Almost seems like a winner. Couple last questions and we'll get out of here. Jerry's getting. This one's pretty good. How does NASA organize a party? They plan it. And last one, buy a land in the mountains. I think that's what Jerry did, actually.
35 minutes from the beach, yet no humidity. None of the icky weather parts that come with being at the beach, but 30 minutes away. You bet.
You bet. All right, everybody. Well, that's it for today. Jerry, again, thanks for coming on, making some sense of the things that are happening. I appreciate it. Everybody, if you like today's video, thumbs up and subscribe on the way out. Also, remember to follow Jerry. I've got his information below. The 5 people that won, which was Shevo, Mr. Miyagi, Brad Johnson, Meme, Uzi Metz, and Lord Dartmouth, I think it was. There were 6. Make sure you reach out to Jerry on X or Twitter and go from there. That's it for today, everybody. Thanks so much. I appreciate you. Enjoy your weekend. Adios.